Have all the workers of iniquity no knowledge, who eat up my people as they eat bread, and call not upon the Lord? Psalm 14, verse 4. Psalm 14:4 reveals the spiritual blindness that accompanies moral corruption. David asks, "Have all the workers of iniquity no knowledge?" This exposes the willful ignorance of those who practice evil. This isn't intellectual ignorance, but moral blindness. These people possess mental capacity, but lack spiritual understanding. They refuse to acknowledge God's authority over their lives. The phrase "workers of iniquity" describes those who make evil their profession. Sin becomes their regular occupation rather than occasional failure. They labor at wickedness with the same dedication others apply to honest work. Evil becomes their chosen career path. This spiritual ignorance affects their treatment of God's people. They eat up my people as they eat bread shows how naturally they harm believers. Eating bread requires no special effort or thought. Similarly, these workers of iniquity harm God's people without conscience or consideration. The metaphor of eating suggests complete consumption. Predators devour their prey, leaving nothing behind. Workers of iniquity consume God's people through exploitation, persecution, and destruction. They show no mercy or restraint in their attacks. This consumption happens as naturally as eating bread. People eat bread daily without moral struggle or emotional conflict. Workers of iniquity harm believers with the same casual attitude. They feel no guilt, remorse, or hesitation about their destructive behavior. The phrase "my people" identifies believers as God's special possession. The Lord claims ownership of those who trust in Him. Assaults against believers represent attacks against God Himself. Those who harm God's people challenge divine authority and invite His judgment. The final phrase, "and call not upon the Lord," reveals the root of their spiritual blindness. These workers of iniquity refuse to acknowledge God through prayer, worship, or submission. They live as practical atheists, regardless of their stated beliefs about God's existence. Calling upon the Lord involves more than religious ritual. It requires genuine recognition of God's authority, submission to His will, and dependence upon His grace. Workers of iniquity reject all forms of divine accountability. This refusal to call upon God shows their spiritual deadness. Prayer represents the most basic form of spiritual life. Those who never pray show they have no genuine relationship with God. Their spiritual ignorance stems from this fundamental rejection. Jeremiah describes a similar spiritual blindness. They know not the way of the Lord, nor the judgment of their God. Jeremiah 5:4. Willful rejection of God produces increasing spiritual darkness. People become unable to discern right from wrong or recognize divine truth. Jesus spoke of those who, seeing, see not, and hearing they hear not, neither do they understand. Matthew 13:13. Spiritual blindness affects perception and comprehension. People can observe divine truth without understanding its significance or implications. Contemporary culture shows this same pattern of spiritual ignorance. Educated people reject biblical truth while embracing foolish philosophies. Academic credentials don't guarantee spiritual understanding. Intellectual sophistication often accompanies moral blindness. Modern workers of iniquity consume God's people through various means. Secular employers discriminate against Christians. Educational institutions mock biblical values. Entertainment industries promote anti-Christian messages. Government officials restrict religious freedom. This often appears acceptable to the world. Workers of iniquity use cultural pressure, economic leverage, and political power to harm believers. They operate within existing systems while opposing divine truth. Business leaders exploit Christian employees through unfair practices. They demand compromise of biblical principles as conditions of employment. They create hostile environments for those who maintain Christian convictions. Educational institutions indoctrinate Christian students. Professors ridicule Christian beliefs while promoting secular worldviews. Academic pressure forces students to choose between grades and convictions. The refusal to call upon the Lord manifests in contemporary rejection of prayer in public settings. Workers of iniquity oppose any acknowledgement of divine authority in government, education, or business. They work to remove God from public consciousness.